Tony L says, are there certain obligatory good works that are ordinarily required to remain in a state of justification, grace, or salvation? Is Jesus given examples of mortal sins of omission in Matthew 25, verses 41 to 46? So Matthew 25, 41 to 46, that's the parable of the sheep and the goats. And so that's where Jesus is saying, as you did it to the least of my brethren, you did it to me, or as you didn't do it to the least of my brethren, you didn't do it to me. And he's talking about things like, visiting prisoners, visiting the sick, things like that. So if we're able to reasonably do good that's going to benefit another person, then we need to act on that. And if we deliberately refuse to do so, there are situations in which it would cost us the state of grace, where we would no longer be loving God and loving neighbor if we refused to do certain things. Like, if I know for a fact someone's going to, is starving, and I can help them and they don't have any other source of help, well, then all things being equal, I need to help them. Now, that's not the same thing as driving down the highway and seeing someone panhandling, because actually a lot of those panhandlers are not starving. And, they may be holding a sign that says, have no food, anything will help, God bless. But actually, a lot of them are tricksters that are exaggerating their situation. I've even seen people do more dramatic forms of panhandling trickery. Once I was in Nazareth, the one over in Israel, and I was climbing up the hill to the Church of the Annunciation, and there was a panhandler sitting there on the street who was pretending to be injured and unable to walk. And as the tourists were coming up, he was pulling up his pant leg to demonstrate a bloody wound, which was clearly makeup. So, unfortunately, there are people who are trying to depend on charity from others who are actually tricking people. So I don't want people to get scrupulous about, you've got to give money to every panhandler you see. In fact, one of my rules is I never give money, because money is fungible. And frequently what panhandlers will do is they'll just go buy alcohol with it. And so I will provide other forms of assistance, but not something that's as fungible as money that you can just do anything you want with. It's a complex situation, but I would say there are situations in which refusing to help someone could exclude the love of God and neighbor from your heart in such a way that you lose the state of grace. On the other hand, I don't think, because Tony L asks, are they ordinarily required? I don't think that we're ordinarily in such situations. I think in order for something to actually cost you the state of grace, it's not an ordinary situation. There has to be more to it. And the situation has to be very precisely structured in order for it to actually cost you the state of grace. Because what you're doing in order to cost yourself the state of grace, you're having to say, yeah, I don't care about God that much. I'd rather have this created thing than God. And most people aren't ordinarily doing that in this kind of situation. There are sins of omission that could cost you the state of grace, but I don't think they're ordinary.
And before we go, don't forget to like, comment, share the podcast with others, and subscribe. When you subscribe, hit the bell notification so you always get notified whenever I have a new video. Thank you, and God bless you.